To understand pop punk, we need to go back to the beginning. Punk rock, and pop punk look the same, but each has its own role. Punk in the 70s, starting in 1976, was a subculture. It was in the clothes, the art, the fanzines, the attitude, but also the economic outlook, a protest against unemployment or the housing situation. It meant resistance against everything that was slick, commercial, and boring. Young people in leather jackets with safety pins and a do-it-yourself spirit made clear they did not want to be part of the system. Punk rock was the music that came with it. In New York, the Ramones appeared. In London, you had the Sex Pistols. And the Clash. Their songs were short, loud, and aggressive. It was a reaction against long guitar solos and the bombast of stadium rock. Punk rock was raw, confrontational, and often political. And, out of that sound, a new subgenre began to grow: pop punk. Some musicians kept the speed and raw power of punk, but added melody and hooks. The songs stayed short and fast, but the choruses were easier to sing along with. The lyrics also changed. Instead of only politics and revolution, they began to cover love, boredom, humor, and the small dramas of everyday life.
The Ramones, from punk rock to pop punk. The Ramones started as a pure punk rock band in New York. Their early work, like Beat on the Brat and Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue, was hard, raw, and minimal. But soon they made a switch. They began adding melody and shaping their songs like pop. Verse, chorus, hook. Blitzkrieg Bop is the best example. The famous Hey Ho, Let's Go chorus is really a pop chant inside a punk song.
Hey ho, let's go! Hey ho, let's go!
With Sheena is a punk rocker and Rockaway Beach, they went even further. These songs had a surf and bubblegum pop feel, but were played with punk energy. Joey Ramone once said, "We wanted to bring back the fun in rock and roll. It had gotten too serious, too long, too boring." With that, they moved away from the heaviness of punk rock, and without knowing it, they drew the blueprint of pop punk.
From New York to California. In New York, the Ramones stayed cult heroes. Their records sold only modestly, and their melodic version of punk never reached a big audience there. But the seed they planted did not disappear. In California, it found the right soil. The skate and surf culture, the suburbs, and the local labels gave room for this mix of melody and speed. Here, the ideas of the Ramones grew into a full youth culture. California became the true home of pop punk. The setting there was perfect. In Southern California, in the 80s, a skate and surf culture was rising. Young people spent their days in the suburbs, at skate parks and beaches. They wanted music that was as fast and light as their lifestyle. Bands like the Descendants and later Bad Religion took the Ramones' melodies and made them Californian. Their lyrics were not about world problems, but about school, boredom, love, and teenage chaos. It was music that fit daily life in the suburbs. The infrastructure also helped. Epitaph Records and Lookout Records gave bands space to grow. Through these labels, groups like Green Day got their first chances, and pop punk spread to a bigger audience.
Skate and youth culture. Skate videos used pop punk as their soundtrack. Teens discovered new bands on VHS tapes passed from hand to hand. The music was perfect for the freedom and rebellion of skateboarding. Pop punk became part of a whole generation that found its identity in music, friendship, and youth energy. California gave the genre a face. Skate shoes, shorts, funny clips. The bands looked like the boys next door, and that made them easy to connect with. Yeah, we totally understand.
The 90s, Green Day and the Offspring. The big breakthrough came in 1994. Green Day released Dookie, an album that brought pop punk into the mainstream. Fast songs, catchy choruses, lyrics about boredom and alienation. It was a worldwide success, but it had a price. In their own California punk community, they were shunned. At the Gilman Street Club in Berkeley, where they once played their first shows, they were banned for being too commercial. Green Day chose to ignore the criticism, and in doing so reached millions of new fans who had never heard pop punk before. At the same time, the Offspring released Smash. With hits like Come Out and Play and Self-Esteem, they showed that pop punk could also be raw and sarcastic. Together, Green Day and the Offspring made 1994 the year pop punk exploded. They proved the genre could sell millions without losing its energy.
The themes of pop punk made it timeless. Green Day sang in Basket Case about panic attacks and mental stress. The Offspring, in Self-Esteem, told a story of broken love and self-destruction. Blink-182 mocked adulthood in What's My Age Again, but also captured teenage paranoia in Aliens Exist. Pop punk was not about world problems. It was about the daily chaos of growing up. Funny, honest, and often painfully real.
Blink-182 and the MTV era. Where Green Day and the Offspring opened the door, Blink-182 turned pop punk into a global phenomenon. Their 1999 album, Enema of the State, mixed humor, irony, and melancholy. All the Small Things became a world hit, with a video that made fun of boy bands. Blink gave pop punk a face. 3 boys from California who were clumsy, funny, and just like their fans. Their concerts were full of jokes, but songs like Adam's Song also showed a serious side. That mix of comedy and depth made them stand out.
American Pie and the mainstream. The late 90s and early 2000s were marked by the American Pie films. The soundtracks were full of pop punk. Blink-182, Sum 41, and Good Charlotte. The films and the music lifted each other up. For millions of teenagers, these songs became the soundtrack of their youth. The success of the soundtracks made pop punk bigger than MTV. It was now in the cinema, a cultural export that became popular all over the world.
The 2000s. After American Pie came a new wave. Sum 41, Good Charlotte, Simple Plan, and Newfound Glory spoke to millions. The style was clear: sneakers, jeans, jokes, and choruses you could shout along with. By the mid-2000s, pop punk began to change. Bands like Paramore and Fall Out Boy added more emotion and drama. Emo and pop punk merged into a new style. Some said pop punk was dead, but in truth, the genre kept evolving. That evolution carried into the 2010s. By then, many people thought pop punk was 6 feet under, buried next to their old skate shoes. Pop punk was no longer ruling MTV or movie soundtracks, but it found a new life underground. New generations kept it alive with bands like The Story So Far, Neck Deep, State Champs, and Modern Baseball. They brought the music back to small venues. Their lyrics were raw, personal, and less funny. More about mental health, loss, and relationships. In the 2000s and 20s, the genre found new energy. Paramore returned. Green Day and Blink kept filling stadiums. New names like Meet Me at the Altar and Kenny Hoopla brought fresh energy. A key role in this revival was Travis Barker, the drummer of Blink-182. He worked as producer and guest musician with countless artists. From Machine Gun Kelly to Kenny Hoopla, from TikTok stars to new bands, almost everyone who wanted to revive pop punk got support from Barker. He became the bridge between the old era and the new generation and gave the revival real credibility.
Legacy and influence. Pop punk showed that music can be hard and catchy at the same time. It showed that feelings, humor, and chaos can live together in one song. It gave millions of young people a voice and a soundtrack. The Ramones started as a punk rock band, but made the switch to melody and fun. California gave the genre its natural home and turned it into a youth culture. Green Day and the Offspring made it huge in the 90s. Blink-182 and the American Pie films made it world famous. And in the 2000s and 20s, Travis Barker proved that pop punk still lives. To this day, these bands fill stadiums, and every time someone sings All the Small Things, Basket Case, or Self-Esteem, you can hear why pop punk is still so powerful. It is youth in musical form.
A sound of freedom, reckless fun, and not caring about anything except the moment. Or as they said in Risky Business, sometimes you just gotta say, what the fuck?
Thank you for watching. We are the Boys Next Door. We talk music.
Like and subscribe for more top 10s and other music videos.